Hey, what's going on? It's your girl Lil Ace on the speaker. And I titled this one Rabbit Proof Fence. It was a movie that was made a few years ago saying telling how the first people in Australia were black and how the Europeans came over and colonized them and made them and took them to these camps where they was breeding out the melanin in the black people. Because when a lot of people, during the settling time, when Africans were trying to, expand, they had got caught in the Caucasus Mountains. So after they had got caught in the Caucasus Mountains, they had started their features started to change. Like their hair became more silky because you living in the cold, you have to keep your head warm because of the cold. And then their nose grows down because they don't want all that cold air to freeze their brain. So, and us as African Americans, our hair grows short and curly to keep our brain cool because we're from a hot climate. And our nose is wider because we need the air to go, get in our nostrils to cool our brains down. Well, this documentary of the rabbit proof fence, it explains it. In Western Africa in 1931, for hundreds of years, Aboriginal people have resided the invasion of their land by the white settlers. Now, a special law that Aboriginal Act controls their lives in every way, which means like after they took they after they fig after they got released from the Caucasus Mountains, they started traveling other places, and when they hit Australia, it was already blacks there. So that's when they started colonizing them. They was taking, babies from all over the city of, the states of Australia and putting them in these camps. The lights and in each generation they would take them and try and, breed out the melanin. They would make them have sex with another person that was light. Like if I'm dark and old boy is lighter, they're gonna take me and him and make us have a baby. And then when that baby gets older, they're gonna take that baby since it's a lighter form, and then they're gonna keep doing that until all the melanin was gone out of the body. Well, which is bullshit. But Mr. A O, I cannot pronounce his name, Neville, the chief protector of the Aboriginal, the legal guardian of every Aboriginal in the state of the Western Australia. He has the power to remove any half caste child from their family from anywhere within the states. So, so if you was half white and half Caucasian after, the melanin was taken from the settlers that got caught in the Caucasus Mountain, and when they went over to Australia, they started colonizing them. So they was taking them and us and putting them in a camp. Well, I'm not Australian, but I'm African American. So when I say us, I'm meaning African American. When I say them, I'm meaning Europeans, white Europeans. So they was combining us and them until they got a light, till they finished breeding out the melanin in the body. I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys hear it for yourself. It's gonna be in 1, 2, and 3 parts possibly. It's but and afterwards, just tell me what you think. Here we go. It's a little introduction. I had read it to you earlier about the Western Australia in 1931. That's what it was saying just now in the beginning of my video. numbering more than 370 million. Many are victims of gross human right violations. So the black Australians were victim of the gross rights and violations. Indigenous people face Semitic discrimination and exclusion from the population. They were disposed of their ancestral lands and deprived of their resources for survival. Their culture and language are being threatened and extinction. State of the World Indigenous People United Nations Reports 2010. The first people of Australia.
So the history talks about
that our culture,
our laws
has been raped.
It's a sad story.
It's a sad story.
But
that sad story needs to be told so the world can understand how the world is now. What's happening in other parts of the world, which has been a hidden agenda, has to be publicly known and proclaimed. Just some kids playing. Some black kids.
The earth will not vanish.
The earth will not vanish.
That's the law.
That's the law.
And
our fundamentals and their beliefs.
It's this soil here, the land. That's our law. It has been existing before the colonization of westernized world.
For 60,000 years, Australia has been home to over 400 Aboriginal nations. Over 2 centuries of conflict, oppression and assimilation have left them fighting for their cultural survival. Nearly half of their languages have been lost, and many are critically endangered. Across the country, the clash between worlds continues, as the oldest culture in the world is besieged by its youngest.
The oldest culture in the world is
Northeast
Africa.
Arnhem Land in the Northern Territory, the home of the Yolngu people. Gulawinku on Alco Island is the largest community in the region.
The culture is alive and well to this day. We are not here to fight away. We are not here to die out slowly, but we are here to retain our heritage, our beliefs, our spirituality.
Notice he says spirituality, not religion.
Our old people have kept it, and that's the way they are handing it down to us, and that's the way we will hold to hand down to our generation.
Uganda law comes from this land. And Uganda law is held by, I couldn't read that, clapsticks, scared songs. They're white clay and scared paintings.
Under law, like a whole and that change. Because government is always says, well, for Rome, buying one now we're going to change.
And these people
There's
is
a
black,
law coming in from another. Oh, that's why Bible says.
During the late 1800s and early 20th century, whilst much of the country was being colonised, the Yolngu gained a reputation as proud warriors who fiercely resisted any occupation by outsiders. Today, whilst their culture remains strong, their future, like that of other Aboriginal nations across Australia, is under threat.
My name is Genevieve. I'm a single mother of 2 children and my granddaughter and grandchild. I live here for a while now. And I've been a strong grandmother, but living in a place awkward with 3 families for themselves on their 3-bedroom house.
Hidden from the eyes of the world, 2/3 of Aboriginal people in remote communities like Gulawinku live in overcrowded housing.
All the old boys, you know, the family stuff here, our sons and nephews. They have one bedroom there. There's 5 of them. Let's say 5 to 6 boys again in this room. All my other nephews and sons. This is like the overcrowding of a house. Just this one house.
They look like Africans, yo. This is crazy. Cute little black kid.
This is half of the family in this house. Tonight it will be like
When they're living together, 20 or 30 people in one house, it's ridiculous. For health, it's like living in 700 years in Europe.
we have to be overcome because there's no more housing. And there's promises like housing is going to be built, yet we're still waiting for that houses.
Medical research has consistently shown the link between overcrowded housing and infectious ear, eye and skin diseases, all of which are now widespread in Gulawinku.
Australia is the only developed country that is not indirect traumatic and infection eye disease causing blindness in the left and remote aboriginal communities like that one city. They said up to 60% of the children suffer from this disease.
Diseases and illnesses that are commonplace in the third world ought to be unheard of in a rich industrialized country like Australia. The levels of those in many Aboriginal communities are appalling.
That's because
Health and mortality statistics in remote Aboriginal communities are some of the worst in the world. On average, an Indigenous person will die 17 years younger than a non-Indigenous Australian. Child mortality is 3 times higher.
It's a huge indictment, I think, of Australian government policy over recent decades that things have been allowed to get this bad.
Despite decades of government attempts